listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889.
Hi, I'm Hattie, and I'm your host for Community Forum this week, and I have in the studio with me local author Donna Blake Burchell, and I am super excited. We had an excellent conversation a few weeks ago that you don't get to hear because it was recorded on a bad SD card. Sorry. So we're going to try to do it again, and there's no telling how it's going to happen or where it's going to go because now I know more. But I still want to make sure we get to everything. So let's see how it goes. Hi, Donna.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. It's so nice to have you here again.
Oh, it's great to be back.
So I originally reached out to you because I had seen that you had done something at the library when I was out of town for work. And I was super sad to miss it. My friend Shannon was there as a ghost, which was super cool, which I assume was on theme for the book that you were promoting at the time.
Yes, it was. It's for one of my newest haunted restaurants and bars of New Mexico, and she played a wonderful part. She was in a period dress from 1904, straight from the Bujak family, which is a local pioneer family here in town. And she was wonderful about it. She was on roller skates, and every time I would come to a dramatic part, she would moan and groan and just sneak up on people. It was wonderful. It was great. I loved it.
Sounds like the best time.
It was.
Now I want to write about ghosts.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, and so. You have a bunch of New Mexico books, though, not just the exciting one about haunted places. Are there other haunted places, too?
Oh, yes. I'm working on number 18 at the moment.
Oh, my gosh.
17 are out. My newest will be Haunted White Sands, and that is done with a co-author from Roswell, John LeMay, and he took the lead on that book. And I just filled in some spots. And so he's going to be, that's coming out in September. So that'll be
fabulous.
Fantastic. Right.
Maybe we could have him call in and we could do a show.
That'd be great.
I would love that.
That would be great.
Would be so
yes.
exciting.
I'm sure you do it.
Now, I recently drove through the White Sands area, and my husband was telling me about a phantom vehicle that appears and disappears in the sand.
Yes. And there's several stories like that out there. Two ladies that worked at the White Sands Missile Range were in a Jeep, and they disappeared. So they show up from time to time. Who knows how many bodies are out there in that sand? It should be red by this time instead of white. It's just amazing, all the murder stories and tragedy that has happened out there in that area.
Yeah, but the sand just wipes it away.
Yep. Sands of time, right?
Nice metaphor or analogy. Oh, sorry. I always mess that up. And then, so the one you were promoting was the restaurants and hotels?
Yeah, restaurants and bars.
Restaurants and bars. The hotels you did previously?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
That was my first haunted one. I really didn't go into this wanting to do haunted, but, it just came up, and I had a couple of experiences, and I thought, why not? Why not? And I had such a hard time with my publisher on this. They didn't want to do it. And it doesn't sell. It doesn't sell. And they made me jump through hoops like crazy. And I had to get permission from every one of the hotels. And I'm just jumped through so many hoops. And it was one of my best sellers. So,
sure.
It's like vindication. Yes, finally.
Well, I can understand, a publisher who's used to publishing historical pieces that are about honored traditions and places and things would be a little skeptical about the more paranormal.
Right.
But I think that it's a really big part of these places. And in many times, it's you can't go to Marshall, Texas without hearing the stories,
Right.
about the supposed Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And so it's like, it's reported to be like one of the most haunted places in the country.
I can imagine.
And it's like, you can't go there without hearing about it.
Right.
Or even feeling a little strange when you enter a place. I know this from firsthand. When you enter a place where bad or weird things have happened, you will feel it.
Yes.
I went into a totally innocuous post office in a town that I had just moved to, and I was like in line, and I felt really strange about this place. And it's like a post office, and I'm like looking around, and it's like, what is up with this post office that would make me feel weird? And my friend leans over, and they're like, this is the first place they went postal. And I was like, no, so you just, if you're
Right.
sensitive, if you pay attention, you can pick up on the energies of things.
Yes.
And I see ghosts as a similar thing. It's the energy of the people,
Right.
Well,
I've always been told there's no such things as ghosts. No, ghosts don't exist. So I thought, okay, they don't exist. But my parents and I went to Taos, and Taos and I, it's something up there for me. It's hard for me to go up there.
Really?
It's bad. It's bad. So I was 12 years old, and we're walking down the street with my parents and I keep feeling this person or something tapping me on the shoulder.
oh, creepy.
And I'm looking around, and there's nobody there. And I just have this image of a Native American man behind me, just tapping me on the shoulder. And that went on the whole time. And, I thought, okay, there's no such thing as ghosts. I'm just being weird.
Right.
I'm a weird kid. But then we had an experience in the Millicent Rogers Museum up there, which is a gorgeous hacienda from a socialite, a New York socialite, who collected squash blossoms and pottery and all sorts of wonderful things. And we were walking through this, and inside there was a penitente altar, which had like the death cart and all this things carved out of wood, the skeletons and all this carved out of wood. It kind of freaked me out at first. I mean, I'm a kid. I don't like it, And at that time, it was an exterior room. And we were standing in there, and all of a sudden a storm came up. The exterior shutters slammed shut. The lights went out, the candles went out, and we went out. I mean, it was just like, no.
Out of here.
So I was getting a little bit, that theory about there's no such thing as ghosts was kind of on the ledge there, a little bit kind of teetering there. So I thought,
Yeah, absolutely.
what happened there? We'd never had anything like that happen here before. Okay. It took me till I was probably in my early 50s to go back there and just exercise those ghosts,
I love that. I'm glad you did go back, though.
I did.
Yeah.
And it's an interior room now, so there was no
Oh,
problem
they've
this
added
time.
to it. Nice. And I think that's the thing is that, and we'll talk about ghosts a little bit. But I know it's not your total corpus of books, but since it's what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
I think that, there's people have energy.
Mm-hmm.
And to imagine that just ceases to exist because they have moved on is, I think, a little naive.
Right.
The universe is made up of math and energy.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
And it's like, and we are energetic beings wearing meat suits. And, to say that when my flesh stops, that I will is, I think, just really presumptive of people.
Right.
Because none of us know what
Right.
happens afterward. And there's whole religions built on the ideas of what comes after.
Right.
So why do we think it's so important to define it here and now and say, no, that can't possibly be, but I do have this whole soul that's going to go somewhere else
Right.
later.
Right.
Well, how is that different?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I had a theory about the ghosts. I was asked at one of my book signings, why is New Mexico so haunted? Well, I kind of flippantly said, because it's a land of enchantment, but then no, I didn't know what else to say at the time. But I got to thinking about it and I thought, why is it? Well, we also have 10,000 volcanoes in New Mexico. So that is a violent energy that was brought to form this state. So there's something about New Mexico that brings in these energies and it retains the energy of this violence. And that's why we have had, in my opinion, all that violence, in the White Sands and because of the Valley of Fires and all those other things. Look at all the ones up there by the Jemez and all the we have 2 huge calderas in New Mexico that could go at any time, from what I hear. But
Thanks.
yeah, this is great. Something else to worry about. But that it's all energy. We're all energy, just like you said. And I just feel like we pick up on that, and some more than others.
Absolutely. When I first came to visit Carlsbad, and I may have mentioned this before on air, but when I first came here, I was really drawn to the town. We came because my husband does the extreme hiking thing out in the mountains, and my kid and I hung out at an Airbnb the first time, hotels after that, and we just did in-town stuff. We went to the Castle Park, we went to the Living Desert Zoo, which is amazing, and I am the person who put it in the Roadside America app because it needed to be there.
Awesome.
But it's just energetically, I felt really great here. And I've always been drawn to areas near the mountains, which is really funny because I grew up on a beach. But I've just always been drawn. I was super happy when I was in Denver. I did a lot of hiking in the mountains of New York, which are smaller but lovely. And, I'm just always drawn to that. And I was like, why am I so drawn to Carlsbad? It's not in the mountains like Cloudcroft, which I love.
Right.
But it's got them. You can see them.
You bet.
But it was what is it about this place? And then I was we came back a few years in a row, and then the state of New Mexico asked my husband to apply again for the job that he had applied for the previous year, and it was here in Carlsbad instead of he had applied in Santa Fe. But we were thrilled,
yes,
because we love it here, and we had already been coming here every year, and it extends the range of our vacations because we used to have to drive 8 hours to get here. And now we can just do all of that toward the mountains, which is really great. But I discovered along the way this little park along the river called Riverview Park, which is not a playground or anything like that. It's just this little cement circle on the ground with some benches around it. And they have painted the labyrinth from Notre Dame de Chartres on the ground there, which I have tattooed on my arm for those who don't know. And resonates that labyrinths in general, but that labyrinth in particular really resonates with me. And it was well, no wonder I like this town so much, right? But it's all about the energy again. Right. And that's why I brought it up, was the energy kept bringing me back to this area. And I didn't know why. I just liked it. And I just kept coming. And then, I get here, and that was a confirmation, to run across my labyrinth.
Sure.
Actually, I just went aligned energy healing, did a really cool full moon ritual on the labyrinth this month. It was really great. Okay. And I went and I had a great time because it was my labyrinth. I had to go.
There you go.
But energy is super important. And, the energy of a place can attract you. It can repel you.
Yes.
There's a lot of residual stuff in these really haunted areas because of the tragic things that have occurred there. I have friends who've taken up ghost hunting in Texas, and they just keep hitting all of these amazing places. And the most recent one that I was, there was an episode of Twisted Mysterious, and my friends had just been talking about it. The place was the Goatman Bridge in Denton, where, of course, this horrible thing has happened in the past. And so now there's all this energy around it, and it draws people to it, and they can, there's equipment that senses things. I know the Ghostbusters movie is really funny, but there are equipments that senses things that humans do not,
right?
Just like our animals do. They sense things that we do not. And to imagine that all is just imaginary is crazy. You know, it's like it's stuff in our world. We just can't see it.
We just can't see it.
We just can't see it. And I see ghosts the same way. And and maybe that's the echo of a person, or maybe that's the soul of a person. I don't know, because I haven't had a conversation with a ghost as an adult.
No,
I saw them a lot as a child.
Oh, okay.
But they freaked me out. So I pretty much programmed that right out.
Yeah.
But, my husband and son will still, like, if we go to a new hotel, they're like looking, they're exploring the upstairs and stuff. Just like, what happened here, in the past. We stayed at the Park Central in Albuquerque. Okay, so you're very familiar with the Park Central. It's a lovely little hotel, let me just say that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's beautiful.
But it was a sanitarium at one point.
Yes.
And that's going to leave an energetic residue,
Yes.
I think,
Yes. And the Albuquerque Press Club right behind it is also haunted. So it's right in that area. Yes. I don't.
You know all about it.
Right.
That's amazing.
Ooh.
So we also have a few places like that in town then,
Yes.
or in Eddy County, but we're in Carlsbad right now. So I know, for example, I've heard about the waitress at the Trinity.
Yes. She was actually supposed to be one of the secretaries that worked there during whenever it was the Carlsbad Irrigation Department offices on the second floor. And that was her office. That was her domain. She loved it. And she was very, very protective of it. I'm still trying to come across a real name for her. One of the mediums from Arizona said her name was Ruby. Now, I don't know. I've spoken with another medium who says, no, absolutely not. That's not it. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not talking to the lady, so I don't know.
Right.
But she allegedly was taking up with one of the men in the office, either the bank president or when it was the irrigation department, one of the big shots there, a lawyer or an attorney for there, and she ended up being murdered. Now, there's two stories on that the wife of the man murdered her, or she was shot by the man herself. So I don't know. I can't find any newspaper articles that state any of this, but of course they were pretty closed mouth about that kind of thing back then too. So that wouldn't be big news for the newspapers. But she is. She doesn't like women, apparently, according to the waiters down there. They have had someone come up and try to flip their trays when they're going upstairs, or push them down the stairs, which is also that's terrifying to me. I mean, those are some steep stairs, and I would be
any old buildings.
I have to
really
hold on.
stairs.
Yeah, but there's a secret room upstairs, and they call it Ruby's Place. And she likes to hang out in there. It's where they usually have their storage room and their supplies upstairs, and she likes to hang out up there. But yeah, she doesn't like some music. Or then there's reports of her cranking it up and partying down. I mean, they've had it where people have had to go out to the streets because the music has been so loud that they had to call the owners to come down there and turn it down. So, and then there is a video called the Trinity Hotel Ghost, I believe, on YouTube. And it shows a black mass that goes from the dining area around the front desk and over to the radio area and then back around. And, some say, oh, it's just a bug. But no, it doesn't look like a bug to me. But they've had too many experiences there for it to be a bug, in my opinion.
Nice. I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah. It's fun.
So, but like, as we mentioned, you weren't initially a ghost hunter.
Nope.
What was your first book?
My first book was called Carlsbad and the Carlsbad Caverns.
Oh, cool.
And we had a historian here by the name of Jed Howard who was amassing and collecting all sorts of historical photographs, starting from like 1892 up to the present. And he had all these wonderful photographs. I mean, these are some great photographs. So the editor that I ended up going with the Arcadia Publishing called the library and said, hey, do you have anybody there that wants to write a book about Carlsbad? And I thought, oh, I don't know. I write, but I kind of push myself back away from it. But no, somebody gave me a good swift kick in the pants and told me, no, you got to do this. So thank God for that, because, I wouldn't have done it otherwise. But that book features a lot of the photos from that archive that they have. And if you want to see some of them for yourself, go to nearlovingsbend.net, and it's all one word, and it's a fabulous collection, absolutely fabulous collection. And so it's mainly just vintage photographs from Carlsbad and the caverns and how it progressed. And then that worked into my Eddy County book, which is basically the same thing. And then after I finished that, then I kind of went into the more history, more text-driven books.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of your corpus is history related.
Right.
So is that your first love, history?
Actually, it is. My dad, he's from Boston, but he loved the Western United States, absolutely loved it. And every time we would go somewhere, he was an avid reader. So anytime we would go anywhere, I would get a history lesson. And of course, as a teenager or as a young preteen, I didn't listen to half of what he said. And I really wish I had, because, boy, it sure would have helped. But he left me his books, and I do have his research in his books. So that's been a big help, huge help.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of hear his voice every once in a while when I'm driving down the street. And I find myself doing that to my own kids. And I see their eyes glazing over.
Yeah.
But
one day they'll appreciate that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I love that. My dad was a huge history buff. He doesn't have a degree in history, but he said, I had a triple minor.
Right.
Because he just kept studying it,
Right.
kept studying it in every elective. And it's like, all right, that's like his thing.
Yeah.
And so, everything was a lecture. We couldn't go anywhere without hearing about it. My dad's also an amazing storyteller. It does, however, bring some things into question. Because it might have just been, for the story.
A story. Yeah.
Yeah. But, just fascinating. He would always extol us with all sorts of stories about anywhere we were. And I really appreciate that now,
Yes.
like
Yes.
you, in retrospect.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that my son doesn't mind too much, because we're constantly dragging him. If we're not in the parks, we're at like battlefields and, old, like the reenactment villages and stuff.
Yeah.
Like we're always checking that stuff out. It's like, ooh, a history thing.
Let's go.
So I hope he learns to appreciate that as well one day.
He will.
So what do you do when you're not writing?
I'm working, actually. I'm working. I work at the Southeast New Mexico College and at the library, and I'm the archivist for them. And I've only been there about a year now, and I am trying to pull together their archives, and that they've got some things that were dumped on them a little bit, but diving back into the history of that college, is just wonderful, because it goes back 70 years when it was in MSUC, and so
And even before, it
even
was
before,
like Carlsbad's
college, or I don't know,
college something.
yeah, community college. I'm not sure. Yeah, but it's been a lot of a labor of love on that one, and we're trying to get it to where we can get it digitized and get it online so that everybody can enjoy it.
Oh, that would be
It'll
great.
be fun.
Yeah.
And we're collaborating with different groups here in Carlsbad with the museum and another department at the school, so that we can make it a full community effort It's going to be fun. It's gonna,
Yeah. And it's a lot of work for one person. So definitely make that a community effort.
Yeah. I see my life for the rest of it.
Right, exactly. No, I think that is lovely. I'm always surprised because I came in, to Southeast New Mexico College after it was already an independent college and had left the state system. And it seems very much like a startup, and yet it has 70 years of history at the same point, which I find fascinating, you know. And I love, though, that... they try to be true to that history by bringing the focus back to taking care of the people here in Southeast New Mexico and the needs of the community and the industry here. And I just really love that.
Yes. I mean, with they're building the Trades and Technology Center, it's going to be fantastic. You're going to have your mining industry, your oil and gas industry, the WIP program, everything's going to be in there under one roof, and you're going to be able to learn whatever you want to learn. And they have the simulation booths, and it's just fantastic. If you're not an academic and you want to go into the trades, even if you are an academic and you want to go into the trades, that's the place to start. That's
Absolutely.
a great place to get training and everything. It's just wonderful.
Yeah. And that dedication, I remember attending one of the board meetings last year, and just like how passionate they were about their service to Southeast New Mexico really struck me.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it makes me proud to be here.
Right.
In my little corner of it.
Yeah.
But we are here to talk about you.
Oh.
I keep doing that. All right. So you started with the history of Carlsbad, and then you expanded to Eddy County.
Right.
And then somewhere along the way, you started doing ghost stuff. But there's like a bunch of books in between there.
Right. There was one called Legendary Locals of Carlsbad, which was, I think that the Hall of Fame down at the museum and library is kind of modeled after that book a little bit. They use some of the people from there. They pull some of the people. Yeah, that's pretty. That makes me proud. And then I went from there into McKittrick Canyon, which is something a place I love. It's just absolutely fantastic. I want to be buried there. I know you can't, but I want to be buried there. And then from there, I kind of veered off a little bit and went into Wicked Women of New Mexico, which is a lot of fun. That one is about the I call them the lady killers, and the shady ladies and the gamblers.
Oh, that's so fun.
And so right now I'm expanding on one of the characters in that book, and they're all true characters, called Bronco Sue. And she is a absolute mess. She is thought to be New Mexico's first female serial killer. And she's a horse thief, cattle thief, jewel thief, a husband thief, you name it, she's a thief, and she didn't care. She just didn't care. And she was out for herself. She knew what she wanted. She knew how to get it. And, she got away with it. That's the thing. She's just a bat of the eye and a little sway of the hip, and she got out of it. The men of course, it was always men juries. There was no women in a jury. And the men would always say, well, it's so hard to convict a woman, especially when they're sitting there crying. And, and they have their little kids beside them crying, right? Well, come to find out, she rented those kids.
I love that so much.
Yeah, so she was something. And that's I'm finishing up on that one. So I'm hoping that'll come out next year. And I'm excited about that one. She was a fun write. I just love writing her story. So
yeah, I guess if it pulled you back for a full length.
Right.
Now, have you done anything on the less wicked historical women from the area? It's okay if you haven't.
I really haven't. Actually, I did in the Eddy County book. My Eddy County book has a lot of features women in it because the men are the ones that usually get the features.
Right.
Oh, this man did this and this man did that. Well, we have a lot of women here in town who were just as good as any of the men, and it made it just as much impact on Carlsbad as any of the men.
I was really happy to see that there were women in the I don't know what they call those, the busts that they put up in the new history park,
Right.
of the important people,
Right.
founders. I don't know what we're calling them, but I was really happy to see women there,
Yes.
as well as
Yes.
men, because they were a part of it, and it's one of my pet peeves that really there's this statue called the Pioneer Woman in a tiny town in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Ponca City, I think.
Ponca City.
I think it's in Ponca City, and it's a a statue of a woman in the classic garb of the pioneer women, and it's like this memorial to them because they were part of the move west.
Sure.
And you could not have survived without them. You couldn't have worked your farm that you made if you didn't have kids, and like all this stuff. And that's like pretty much like it, as far as national like recognition of the women's effect on the West. But I have noticed, and I've talked about, I think there are some of the historical markers about women from the area. One of them ran a general store. I don't remember her name right now, but in Eddy County, she ran a general store. She ended up like saving her son's eye from a really bad injury by basically performing surgery on it with no like real medical training. But saved his eye. But she also ended up taking care of Billy the kid before he was the kid.
Ma'am Jones.
Yes.
Okay, Ma'am Jones, yes.
And it's like, oh, she's fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah. And there was another one, and sometimes Ma'am is called the Angel of the Pecos, but there's another one who is called Angel of the Pecos, and I think that's people just getting things confused on the internet.
Right. Josephine. The name, but she was instrumental in saving thousands of people, or at least hundreds of people, from TB. That tuberculosis was running through our country like wildfire, and she had a tuberculosis center. She was not a doctor. She just went in there and kind of instinctively knew what to do. And she saved every one of her patients. None of them died. And they were all camped out along the river, and she had a sanatorium right there on Main, and I believe it's Stevens or something around that line, kind of next to where the jail is today. And she was instrumental in saving so many people's lives. And, while her husband was up in the Yukon looking for gold, she was down here making a difference. You know, and I thought that was just, but I wish I could think of Josephine Anderson.
Thank you. Yeah, I was trying to remember too, because I talked about both of them during Women's History Month. But then I was like, I can't remember their names at all.
And she was quite an accomplished artist as well. She would paint furniture and do all that kind of
And they have one of her paintings at the museum.
Right.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love the appreciation of history here.
Yes.
And I think you get more of that in the West, strangely. It's like on the East Coast, everybody's kind of moved on to bigger and better.
Right.
But I feel like in the West, we still cherish a lot of that, and really build things around it, incorporate it into things, which I find just really beautiful.
Well, I think in the West, it's closer to the heart because it's closer to the time frame. In the East, they had 1600s, 1500s, whatever. They're done with it by the time the 1800s came around.
Yeah, unless it has to do with the Revolution or the Civil War, they're just not really keeping track. It's true. Yeah, and it is true. It's much further away where it's still very vivid memory.
Right.
People are only a couple descendants away from the ones who were living here doing the things, which is pretty amazing.
It is.
All right. So you have 17 books out, which I envy you so much. I'm just like, she can finish her books. Finishing is really hard.
It is.
It's really hard. Like short stories I got.
Yeah.
But like full length, that is really difficult. I'm working on it though.
I used to be the world's worst procrastinator. I mean, I recently decided I have ADHD, and that was part of it. And now that I realize, and I just pushed myself, I had to. I mean, these deadlines, they don't wait. And you have to finish them because I'm not ever going to go and miss a deadline. That's my goal. Never. I've come close a couple of times. Wicked Women was pretty close. But this, the rest of them, no, I'm not even going to get that close anymore.
Nice. Yeah, well, it's very stressful too, when you get down to that. Deadlines do help me. That's actually why I liked going to school for writing. I got my bachelor's in writing for film and television, and I really enjoyed it because they would give me a deadline.
Right.
And then I had to meet, and it's like, you got to do all this, and I need it by Friday.
Yeah.
And it's just like, No. But I could get it done by Friday. But with my arbitrarily assigned deadlines, nah. It's like, I could do it next week. Yeah. So,
it'll be on hold.
I've thought about going back to school just so I could have somebody enforce deadlines.
There you go.
But you have to find the motivation for yourself and like what makes you really commit to it. Because we all have dreams and goals, but you have to find that thing that's going to make you commit, right? Like you eventually did. You finally fine, I'll do it. And now you've got book 18 coming out with your colleague in just a few months, which is super exciting.
Right. I and shout out to him too, because I had no clue, absolutely no clue. And he was writing the same type of books that I was, but just for the Roswell area. And so they said, get a hold of him. He's a young guy. He's barely just turned 40 something, so he's got over 60 books out now himself. Wow. And so he's quite an inspiration that way, I'll tell you. But he helped me out a ton. Yeah. He really did. I had no clue on how to upload pictures and everything, and they were always wrong. And I was so frustrated. I hated Dropbox, and it was just, it was stressful for me. But he talked me off the ledge a couple of times, and we've been fast friends ever since. But
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fun, and that kind of gives me inspiration too. Because when I started out, I thought, okay, if I can write 12 books, I'll be happy. Well, 12 came and went, and then Mr. Clay Allison happened to pop up, and I thought, okay, I can't stop at 13, right? So I went into the Scoundrels, and I went into the all the haunted ones, and so and now I think it'll be, when I finish everything that I'm working on, it'll be close to 25, but.
Do you work on more than one thing at a time?
Oh, yeah. Then? Oh, yeah. I have 5 projects going right now.
It's not just me. Because I do that. Because I found that it helps me get work done. Because I might not be feeling this one project right now, but I might be feeling this other one. So I'll go work on it instead.
Yeah. I get bored easy.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah. And I had a book. It was my biggest book that came out. It's called Hidden Gems and Roadside Treasures of New Mexico. And it was full color. And it was done through a subsidiary of Arcadia Publishing. But it's out of England, and it's Fonthill Press Media. And they wanted me to do a book on the before and after of Carlsbad. Well, basically our before and after is, before is a beautiful building, after is a parking lot. So, I thought, no, okay, that's not going to work. So I told them, how about in all my travels, I come across all these wonderful things, and we'll just do something like that. And they said, sure. And that came out in 2018. And it's out of print now. So then they asked me recently, well, can you break it down into 2 books and do like the Eastern New Mexico and Western New Mexico? So that's nice. Definitely a project I'm working on. You betcha I can do that.
Heck yeah. Split my book that already exists in 2.
Yes. And add and
some
revise.
Updates. Yeah. That's so great. Fix the things you wish you had fixed before.
Right. Yeah.
Totally get that. That's so exciting.
It is. It's fun.
And then you were giving your shout out and credit to John. What's his last name again?
LeMay.
And he's Is he with the Southeast New Mexico? What is it called?
With the Historical Society of Southeast New Mexico. That's what theirs is. Ours here is Southeast New Mexico Historical Society.
Oh, that's so nice confusing.
Yeah.
I got to hook up with both of them.
And we're both board members for the Historical Society of New Mexico. So
it's a lot.
Yeah, so I'll be doing a presentation on Clay Allison. We're going to be at the Philmont Ranch in Cimarron, and it's another one of my favorite places. And it was a big place for Clay Allison, so I'll be giving us a little bit of a talk up there for that, and then John is going to be doing one on kind of like the oddities of New Mexico, which he always finds the cool stuff. He really does. He finds all these old newspaper articles and that are, dinosaurs and cowboys, and it's just he's got some great books out there. So you might want to check him out.
Yeah, I totally will. I mean, he's got like 60 books. 60. I'm sure he's written something I want to read.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, I'm positive.
I'm sure. That's so fabulous.
Yeah.
So what do you want our listeners to know about before we're done? Because we're over time.
Oh,
I'm happy to give you extra time, but have we covered everything that you want to cover?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think everybody needs to go check out Donna Blake Burchell's books on Carlsbad, Eddy County, and Greater New Mexico. She is fascinating. She finds really fun stories. And go check out her books and get ready for the next one with her and John LeMay. And maybe we can have them both back when that comes out.
Sounds like a plan.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're listening to Community Forum on KCCC 930 AM, sponsored by Eddy County, honoring God, country, and family, thriving with industry since 1889.